Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Benchwarmer Sports
The Patriots
Podcast.
are back in the Super Bowl!
Oh my gosh, we're not doing this for 25 minutes. Anyways, Davian, clearly energetic because the Patriots are in the Super Bowl once again. Davian,
Drake raised the goat!
I know you've been waiting so many long years for this moment, as everyone is immediately Xing out of this podcast right now because I just made that comment. Davian, the Patriots are finally back. They beat the Broncos. And honestly, Davian, I'm surprised you have this much energy for a person who willingly watched 3.5 hours of that Patriots-Broncos game. We'll get into that shortly, along with Rams Seahawks. But Davian, before you interrupt me rudely once again, how are you? I assume you're doing good on the account of your yelling and screaming to start this podcast. This is very unprofessional. But I will still, because I'm a great person, give you the floor to tell me how you're doing before we get into everything.
Drake May. That's all. Raffi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing quite well. Super Bowl's coming up. We have a Super Bowl rematch, a Super Bowl 51 rematch. So pretty recent Super Bowl between the Seahawks and the Patriots. A 1 versus 2. Overall, a great matchup. You have two teams that have really just kind of taken care of business throughout their entire paths up until this point. So it'll be really interesting. We're going to break that down and just break down those matchups as we previously discussed. So, Davian, before we get into the Super Bowl and give our official predictions, we'll save that for a little later on in the podcast. What are your thoughts on the Patriots-Broncos game? I'll hand it over to you first for your thoughts on the AFC Championship game. Obviously, you had the Patriots as your team, so this was a game that you were very invested in. And I know that people are going to look at the game and say, you know what, 10-7 Patriots, but I don't think people realize just how bad the weather got as the game went on.
Yeah, I mean, that was you did mention that it was like a boring game to watch. It really was. I mean, like the defense, the Patriots defense and the Broncos defense are some of the best in the NFL, and we saw that on display. Really, Jarrett Stidham just. I'm sorry, like for all the noise that people were making, like he's gonna have like a miracle game. Just it was never gonna happen. He had that one drive that was very good, but besides that, I mean, we could talk about Sean Payton's coaching and not taking the field goal, but at the end of the day, I think no matter what, I think that the Patriots, at the end of the day, won the game by, I wouldn't say it's by their I would say it's by their bootstraps, really. They like adjusted somehow to the snow, and they got that first down that they needed, and that was the game. It was ugly, but so was the weather. And by the fourth quarter, when that snow was really piling down, you couldn't kick the ball, you couldn't run the ball. So the best thing you could have done is just run out the clock. And the Broncos tried that one last heave. Gonzalez comes up with the interception, and that's the game. Is there some concerns for the Patriots? Yes, of course, there definitely is heading into the Super Bowl, but I'm not. I mean, I don't think that this game is representative of what the Patriots are going to look like in the Super Bowl, which I'll explain and emphasize further on. But Raffi, I hope that. I mean, did you watch the full game? What are your thoughts?
I watched most of the game, and yeah, you could really tell that those 3 points would come back to bite them. I didn't know how bad the weather was going to get until you really saw it on the broadcast. You're like, oh my gosh, it's just going to keep getting worse. And it was something where the coaching staff, Sean Payton, should know that the weather was going to be really bad and only get worse throughout the rest of the day. So when you're in a position, I get it, you're 1 yard away, potentially could go up by 2 touchdowns, which, as we now know, would have been enough to beat the Patriots in that game. Obviously, we don't know how things would have been structured differently. Anyways, Patriots only scored 10 points. If you score 14 points, obviously 14 is greater than 10. It doesn't take a chemical engineer to know that. But in that situation, when you had favorable conditions, you should have taken the points to try to build up that lead as much as you could. I understand the weather conditions and conditions in general throughout that game were really poor, but I would have liked to have seen them get the points there. I do think that we're going to start to see a pendulum swing back. We are seeing a lot of people going for it in 4th and short scenarios and not taking the points, and we've seen that really hurt a couple of teams in several key moments. I wonder if over the next few seasons we're going to see the pendulum swing back, where some teams are more willing just to say, you know what, we got to this position, let's just take the points and then live another day. Rams Seahawks, we can get into Rams Seahawks as well now. because we'll talk about the Patriots even more in depth shortly. Well, first, just put a bow on the Broncos. Great year. Obviously, Bo Nix being out really affected the Broncos. I don't know how much of an impact it would have made if Bo Nix was the starter, just because of how poor the conditions were. You saw, again, Drake May, how he was really struggling too, and I would consider Bo Nix to be a little worse than Drake May, so I don't think it would have made too much of a difference for the Broncos, just because, again, the conditions were so poor, but who knows what could have happened. Again, the Broncos being fully healthy next year and just a healthy Bo Nix, I wouldn't be surprised if they're back in this situation, but we'll see what happens. And then moving on now to the NFC Championship game, Seahawks and Rams, and I seem to recall a time when I said, as long as the Rams don't shoot themselves in the foot again, and I think that they won't do it again, because why would that happen again, especially versus the Seahawks? They should be good to go to the Super Bowl. And Davian, what did the Rams do during this game?
They shot themselves in the foot.
They shot themselves in the foot with a muffed punt. After the first punt, where there was clear signs that he was just not there. And I get it was kind of I can understand that when you're in the moment, you do things that someone watching would be like, what in the world are you thinking? But if you're falling backwards, why are you trying to go for the ball still? Just bail. It is so much better if you bail, and worst case, your team gets pinned inside the 5, than trying to come up with a miracle play, and then that's a much greater risk for you to try to go for it than just bail on it and try not to touch it. And I get it's in the moment. Survival instincts kick in. I get it. But that was a cannot happen moment for a team that has consistently somehow, I've never seen a team have this poor special teams. Typically special teams like, yeah, whatever. Like, as long as they can kick the field goal really well, as long as they can make field goals, their kicker, we're good. I've never encountered a team that has had this poor of special teams troubles, and I fully expected this not to happen again. And out of Curb Your Enthusiasm moment, it happens again.
Yeah.
And I don't even know, Davian.
Yeah, I mean, look, I will give kudos to where kudos should be given. Matthew Stafford had a hell of a game. Sam Darnold also played very well. The biggest issue for Sam Darnold against the Rams in previous meetings that they've had has been his turnovers, which he had limited, or what, 0, right? He had 0 turnovers.
0. He progressively has gotten better versus the Rams this year.
Yeah.
The first game he threw, I believe, was either 3 or 4 picks.
Yeah, exactly.
Sacked a ton.
4, yeah.
Looked really poorly in that game that they lost to the Rams. Then you had a couple weeks later, that Thursday night game, Sam Darnold looks really poor in the first half, but in the second half, came back. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he was able to get the ball to him a lot more. He only had 1 target in the first half, and Seahawks make that crazy comeback win over the Rams, leading them all the way to the 1 seed, which wound up helping them get the 1 seed. And then in this game, 346 yards, no interceptions, 3 touchdowns. This was a career-defining game for Sam Darnold.
Yes, by far. And I think what we've proven is that the Jets franchise sucks. No, but in reality, what we've proven is that Sam Darnold, I think, is a legit quarterback. It's not a fluke. You don't go 14-3 with 2 separate teams and then lead one of them to the Super Bowl all by chance. That comes from great play, but it also comes from a great supporting cast around him. That offensive line is great. JSN is next level and is probably, I would say not probably, is the best wide receiver right now in the NFL. And so, with all that combined, this Seahawks offense is an absolute juggernaut heading into this game.
100%. And again, for the Rams, there's no doubt that they'll likely be back in this scenario.
Definitely.
And you have to imagine that the Rams are going to go into this offseason and really, really focus on special teams. And you might be like, Raffi, why would they focus on special? Because we've done this. We've played these games before.
It's happened too many times.
Numerous podcasts I've talked about the Rams being like, as long as the Rams can figure out their special teams, they'll be fine. They fire their special teams coach. Oh, things will be better. No.
Yeah. No,
the Rams.
Yeah.
It was a great game. The Rams stayed in it. They just weren't able to finally cash in. There was that 4th and goal or 4th and 4 opportunity when they're inside the 10. They weren't able to capitalize on that as well. So the Rams are still close. They didn't let it completely drain them. But again, you arguably lost the 1 seed because of special teams, and then you lost a trip to the Super Bowl because of special teams. So if there's anything the Rams are likely going to be doing this offseason, it is going to be addressing special teams. Which,
True.
again, I guess in a positive light, if special teams is your Achilles heel, that's probably a decent Achilles heel to have out of all the Achilles heels. You have injuries, you have like can't play at home, you have a quarterback who gets injured often, injuries in general, see the 49ers. Honestly, special teams might be one of the better Achilles heels to have. Yeah. And as long as they can get that sorted out, I'm sure they'll be back and likely in the Super Bowl again, because I can't imagine Matthew Stafford's going to hang it up after the way that this season ended. With that in mind, as we've talked very briefly about the AFC and NFC Championship games, Davian, I think it's time to get into the Super Bowl matchup, as I mentioned at the start of this podcast. And if you didn't hear me because of Davian's screaming, then I completely understand. Super Bowl 51 rematch. And Davian, I know you know the outcome all too well. Can the Seahawks punch it home this time and win the Super Bowl? We'll get into that right now. Davian, I'll hand it over to you, obviously, because, again, as I'd expect for you to do if the Blackhawks were in the Stanley Cup and we're doing a Stanley Cup predictions podcast, I would expect you to give me the floor. I will be giving you the floor here because I know that, again, you've waited a long 6 years, which also just funny note, the fact that it took the Patriots less time to do a whole rebuild than the Jets to get back to the playoffs. I find that very amusing.
Yes.
But anywho, let's twist the knife a little more. So, David, what are your thoughts on the Patriots versus Sam Darnold, former Jets quarterback?
Well, first off, Raffi, I'm going to correct you because you said Super Bowl 51, and I know that's a very traumatic
49
Super Bowl.
49. Sorry,
I
don't know Roman numerals. I know a lot of Greek letters from my engineering degree. Roman numerals was not covered in my chemical reaction kinetics class, David, as you can tell.
I could tell, yeah. I mean, I also understand the trauma sticks with you, and you sometimes bring it up, but it's okay. It's okay, Raffi. It's okay. With that being said, look, this is an amazing matchup. For those saying like, "Oh, this is Seahawks are gonna run it back in," this is gonna be a boring Super Bowl. If you're saying that, you don't know ball. Simple as that. This Patriots defense is absolutely amazing. Sam Darnold has been playing better, but don't forget about his ghosts from the past. And the reason why I say ghosts is because Sam Darnold was the one when he played for the terrible, of course, New York Jets franchise, he said, I was seeing ghosts out there when playing the Patriots. This is still that same Patriots team. Still that Patriots team with that Bill Belichick-like mindset. The Patriots way mindset. That's why you can never count out the Patriots. And with that being said, the biggest thing for the Patriots is getting turnovers. That's how they've been able to win a lot of these games. It's how they won against the Chargers. It's how they really, blew out the Texans in many ways. And it's how they, of course, beat the Broncos as well. If the turnover machine that the Patriots have created runs out of luck, that might be very detrimental for the Patriots. Another thing for the Patriots, very important to do, is run the ball. The Patriots are not good at running the ball. But if they're able to unlock this run game in the Super Bowl when they're not known for it, absolute game changer. Because right now the Patriots have an amazing offense. And their pass game is one of the best right now in the league. But we've seen that Drake May has struggled. So really other players need to step up. Including players that need to step up is the offensive line. The amount of pressure that Drake May has been getting, the amount of sacks he's been having to deal with, rolling out of the pocket, he's good at it. And as, I'm going to sound like all those NFL announcers, very Mahomey-like, But no, it's just Drake May. With that being said, though, he needs better protection because this is a very dangerous and lethal Seahawks defensive line. And if Will Campbell's going to keep laying out like a pancake on the field, it's going to be a bad night for the Patriots. That's the overview on the Patriots, though, and a bit on the Seahawks. Raffi, I want to give it off to you before I really make my prediction.
All right. So, first off, you talk about the Patriots' run game. I know he's only averaging 4 yards per carry, but maybe try the change of pace guy in Travion Henderson, who was doing really well. Who's doing really well. And Davian, I think we both can agree that we are a pro
we both had
Travion Henderson podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Yeah. And Kyron Williams needs more.
Yes.
We don't like to be too divisive on this podcast, but we are divisive about some issues, and one of those is Travion Henderson should be the lead running back for the New England Patriots.
Yes.
But anyways, you mentioned the Patriots, and I'll talk about the Patriots as well in my prediction. But to talk about the Seahawks path to the Super Bowl beat the Niners really badly, 41-6 in the divisional round, where Rashid Shaheed returned the kickoff, and that was kind of really it. That was kind of the big thing for the Seahawks. And I was like, okay, we're done. And they just let Kenneth Walker just go crazy. Then they beat the Rams, obviously, as we discussed, 31-27 in the NFC Championship game. Sam Darnold, again, just reiterating, 3 touchdowns, 346 yards, no interceptions versus the Rams. We talked about Sam Darnold, always he's seeing ghosts, oh this, oh that. But it feels like he's gotten a lot better throughout the year. And look no further than a team that was making him see ghosts last year in the playoffs. The Rams made Sam Darnold look awful last year in the playoffs when he was on the Vikings. And this year, he's in a similar situation. Obviously, his stakes are a little higher. He's 2 rounds further, playing against a really tough defense, against the Rams again, another solid defense. And Sam Darnold balled out. And I think that can show that he's matured a lot as a quarterback, and he's able to take apart some of these defenses. Now, if we look at the last 2 matchups for the Seahawks, the Rams and Niners, I'd say the Patriots defense is better than both of those 2 teams, especially the Niners, who are typically a really good defense, but obviously have a plethora of injuries that were going on, and the Rams defense, which is solid, but secondary certainly could use a little bit of help. They have some decent players out there, but not perfect. Jared Verse off the edge has been really solid for them, but the Rams overall really could use another solid corner or 2. Moving on, running game, Charbonnet out. He was out last week. Kenneth Walker averaging 4.7 yards per carry, really balling out. He's on an expiring contract this year. That'll be interesting to see if the Seahawks wind up retaining him, or if he winds up going elsewhere and how much money he makes, because a lot of people are willing to give players a lot of money for how they perform in the postseason, and Kenneth Walker is the guy who's really shined. And again, for Drake May, he's gone through 3 really tough defenses. The Chargers defense, Texans defense, and Broncos defense are all arguably top 5 defenses in the NFL. Now, you look at their matchup, and if you thought those were bad, you have the Seahawks defense out, the best defense in the NFL. I think they've just proven that this entire year. They've been absolutely fantastic. And the Seahawks, their big thing this past week when they were playing the Rams was they really struggled, as anyone would, to really cover Puka and Devontae Adams. Both of them had really strong games. But you look at the Patriots wide receiving core, they have Kayshon Boutte, who's the only guy with over 100 yards, who has 147 yards over the 3 games in the postseason. And overall, with Stephon Diggs, that's going to be a key X factor for the Patriots. Is Stephon Diggs going to show
I disagree.
up? And is he going to be...
The X factor is actually Hunter Henry. Because at the end of the day, the Patriots are very successful when it comes down to whether the tight end is able to really play or not, and play successfully too. The Seahawks defense is very bad at covering the tight end spot. That's just the stats behind that. Hunter Henry has always been a security blanket for Drake May, and that's exactly what he'll need, especially when the pressure is coming to his face. With that being said, though, Stephon Diggs, especially for the deep ball, which that's where the Patriots succeed the most, will be incredibly important. Because if he doesn't show up, the Patriots, I don't think, win. But I would say Hunter Henry is a bit more of an important X factor, and I would say look out for him a bit more. But continue, Raffi, sorry.
But yeah, overall, the Seahawks team, again, absolutely fantastic defense. And now with Rashid Shaheed, it feels like he's good for a 50-plus yard return every single game now. And their special teams actually shows up. Jason Meyer, my fantasy kicking GOAT, shout out to him. Obviously, he's not watching this podcast, but Jason Myers was my fantasy football GOAT this year. So also really good and really consistent kicker as well for the Seahawks. And obviously, you're playing an outdoor game, but it's in Santa Clara, so you should be pretty well set. All right, Davian, we'll do predictions. Try not to go too crazy and go too long. So I'll hand it over to you first for your prediction. I'll do my prediction, and then I think we'll wrap this puppy up.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, this Seahawks team is great. This Seahawks team on paper is better than this Patriots team. And we can say this is an amazing Seahawks team against the schedule. But at the end of the day, these are 2 teams that deserve to be in this spot, who have earned it game by game. And my prediction is biased, but also driven by real and true statistics. I'm sticking with my New England Patriots. The reason why, and I'll keep this short, is that I believe that the pass game will rise up again, and that the Patriots defense will continue to tear and be as confusing as it was for Sam Darnold all those years ago this year again. Gonzo on JSN, I think will be a key matchup to watch. And I think if JSN can no longer be a primary target for Sam Darnold, it will be a very bad day for that Seahawks offense, because the run game is, you can't just win by simply running the ball in this Super Bowl. I don't believe so. The Patriots' defensive line is too good for that. If the Patriots are able to run the ball, which I think they will, because they'll change it up, they'll use Travion Henderson, they'll really stick with Hunter Henry, which tight ends on paper usually have a great success against the Seattle Seahawks team. With those two combined, with the deep ball to Stephon Diggs, if he's able to get open, or to Kayshon Boutte, I see a recipe for success for this Patriots team if they execute well. And there's no one more than I trust to execute a game plan in this game in Mike Vrabel. I believe Mike Vrabel is the better coach in this game. It will be a game that will go down to the inches. It will be a game that will go down to the game plan itself. And I believe Mike Vrabel will have the better game plan. So I'm sticking with the New England Patriots.
I'm not surprised by that at all. I have the Seahawks 27-21 over the Patriots. And again, this just comes down to the Seahawks defense just being really, really great. And the Patriots offense just hasn't shown me enough over the past couple of weeks. And we'll throw away the AFC Championship game because we both agree that you can't really use that when evaluating the Patriots or the Broncos just because the conditions were so poor. But the Patriots offense really struggled in both those games versus the Chargers and Texans and really required that defense to really step up and make a couple plays.
Defense wins championship.
Seattle's offensive line is better. Seattle's run game is better. JSN, you still have Cooper Kupp and you have Rashid Shaheed who can absolutely torch anyone who's in the Patriots secondary. So I'm going with the Seahawks. Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl, which is exactly what Jets fans wanted to hear when they took him third overall. The only problem is, and honestly I don't think they'd be shocked, is he's going to be winning a Super Bowl for another team. But on the bright side, they're beating the Patriots. So I think that Jets fans will at least be, out of all the possible worst-case scenarios, I think this is a little more of the better ones. But yes, I'm going with the Seahawks here. They've just been balling out, and I'm done doubting them. I doubted them against the Rams numerous times, and they've proven to me that they are the best team in the NFL. The AFC has really good defenses. Drake May is going to be prepared for this game versus the Seahawks, but I just think the Seahawks are going to do a good job of neutralizing the Patriots offense, and I really just think that at the end of the day, out of any quarterback in the league, I want Sam Darnold to be the guy who is playing on my team with a chance to win the Super Bowl. So I got the Seahawks. I think they're going to take care of business, and it's going to be a great game. Both teams are going to make their fair share of plays, but I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks here.
All right. No, I disagree, but fair enough.
Well, we'll find out, and I'm sure we'll do a Super Bowl recap podcast shortly in which one of us is going to be
a lot of
rubbing it in
TikToks.
the other
With a lot of
person's
clown music being played behind
100%.
the background.
100%. But that'll do it for this edition of the Benchwarmer Sports Podcast. Let us know in the comments below what your guys' thoughts are. Who do you guys think is going to win the Super Bowl? We'll see what winds up happening. And for Davian, I'm Raffi. We hope you enjoyed. Have a good one, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.
Peace.